Hello, I am Dax Ska, and you're listening to my dental hygiene school experience. In this podcast, you're going to hear my experience of being in dental hygiene school and the stuff that goes around that, and anything else I might want to mention. Stay tuned, we've got another good episode coming right up. What's up, dental nerds? This is Dax Ska, dental assistant, dental hygiene student, and I'm here to talk more today about life as a dental hygiene student. Now, as I've mentioned before in the podcast, I'm currently on break from dental hygiene school, but I did want to talk about the re-enrollment process. Now, I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but I've actually been through this process 3 times now, and they've all been fairly different. So I just kind of want to talk about that a little bit and kind of the next steps, where to go from here. So anyway, let's get started. So as I've mentioned, I've been off, and it's been about a year now. And yeah, being out of school is a very different experience than being in school. Very, very obvious. But anyway, I just want to talk about the re-enrollment process. So when I didn't pass semester 3, there was actually me and 2 other classmates that did not pass that semester. So, of course, in the next class, there was only 1 spot available. And so they have to decide how are they going to choose which student to be able to get that spot. I mean, it's competitive. And I may have talked about this when this initially happened. I don't quite remember what exactly I said before, but I just remember it was very odd. So, in the fact that these people, these classmates, were actually like friends of mine. And, you know, our class wasn't competitive towards each other. We wanted to all succeed and do our best, but we weren't like, oh, I'm going to do better than this person, you know, like that's not what my class was about at all. So anyway, yeah, it was kind of a different feel. Basically, I was hoping to get the spot, and and so I'm like, but then if I get the spot, then these 2 don't get it. And, you know, it's just a very, very strange, perhaps uncomfortable position to be in, because you want to be your best, but you also don't want to feel like I'd feel bad if someone else got it, but at the same time, I want to move on with my career and my education. Well, anyway, the first time that this happened, it ended up being a meeting with the campus president. I believe that is what his title is. And, you know, going into it, I really had no idea what to expect, so I had to be ready for anything, which was anything, you know, like you don't know what they're going to ask. And so it was definitely, I think the meeting was probably about an hour, and it was definitely felt like I was being grilled, you know, in terms of like, well, what went wrong? And it's like, I mean, there's so many factors that go into it, you know, and I felt like I was being fairly honest, and, well, I shouldn't say fairly, I was very honest with my answers. And, you know, I was just hoping that maybe that would be enough for me to get in, and that, you know, like I'm highly motivated to continue the program. You know, like I wanted to show them that I still want to learn, I still want to be here. And, you know, I didn't hear anything, and they said, oh, we'll get back to you in a few days. And of course, a few days turns into a few more days. And this is during a 2-week break between semesters. So I wasn't sure what to do. I was thinking, okay, so do I apply for a job, and then if I get the job and I get that position in the next class, do I, like, I guess I just quit, but then I feel like that's unfair. Like, they were working hard to fill that, for the dental office, they're trying hard to find another employee, and then you just say, yeah, I'll take the job, and then the next day turn around and say, like, actually, never mind. So, you know, I don't know. It was kind of a very strange time for me. I was also, you know, just emotionally dealing with the fact that I didn't pass, and, you know, my whole trajectory just changed. I mean, like, not passing a semester, especially when you're in a program like this, like, it just kind of feels like it changes the whole trajectory of your life. And, you know, like, do I even continue with this? There's a lot of questions, a lot of feelings that go into it, a lot of big feelings. Uh, you know, and you know, the answer is different for everyone, I'd say. For me, I definitely wanted to continue. I wanted to, you know, I guess in the back of my mind I was always feeling like if I don't do this, I'll always regret it. And so, you know, I need to go for this. So, anyway, I waited and I waited, didn't hear anything, and I'm like, okay, the semester's going to start. Like, I need to know if I can book patients or not. So, in the end, I got an email saying basically that I did not get the position. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, at least I can move on with the next step of my life for right now. And so that's when I went to go find a job. And that also, I guess I'll share a little bit about this, but um, because I was in this weird spot of being in dental hygiene school, but I wasn't in hygiene school, I guess when I applied to places, I wasn't getting very many phone calls or emails back because they see, oh, you're in a dental hygiene school. So probably not a long-term employee. We want people that are here for the long haul. So I didn't hear a lot back. And then it's funny because I actually had someone reach out to me, which ended up being the office I worked at. And, you know, it kind of lined up for what I was looking for. And it said sterilization assistant. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I mean, it's still a job. I'll still be working in the dental field. So, and that's how I ended up at the endodontic office. And then, of course, I think I was in my first week, and I'd been talking to a few offices, and well, there was one office in particular I was trying to, I have a long-term relationship with them, so I was trying to work there, but I wasn't hearing back from them, and there's a point where you just need to do something else, and, you know, like, I wanted to work there, but that's okay. Um, And it's funny because then the week after, I think I was in my first, maybe second week of work, I started getting phone calls. I think one day I got two phone calls. One was from the office that I wanted to work at, and I didn't hear back from. And they said, oh, we want you to come in for an interview. And I was like, I feel so bad, but I actually already have a job. And they're like, no, no, that's okay. That's okay. Like, don't feel bad about it. I mean, that's how looking for jobs works. Like, you know, that's on them for not getting to me sooner. But you know what? It's okay because I ended up at a really great office, and it's not to say I won't work at this other office in the future. It's, you know, it is what it is. On that same day, I also got a phone call from another dental office that I applied at, and they wanted me to come in for an interview. And I was like, why is all this happening now after I have a job? But anyway, and then I think a few days later, I got another two phone calls wanting me to do an interview. I'm like, why, why is this happening? But I was like, well, I'm at this job, like I want to stay here. It seemed like a good place to work, so I wasn't trying to jump ship or anything like that. Anyway, so, and you know, throughout this whole process of trying to get back into hygiene school, like from the beginning, I was very transparent with my employer, and I said, hey, you know, I'm in hygiene school. I'm determined to go back. So I may only be here a few months. I may be here a year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, and I always kept my employer updated on like anything that changed. So the second time rolls around, and, you know, like I'm kind of aware of when the semesters start and end. And I knew that there was another opportunity for semester 3 to come up for me. So I contacted probably about a month before the program director, and I was like, so I'm interested. I definitely want to get my name in there, but what do I need to do? Is there anything I can do to help along the process? You know, and so I got an email back, and, you know, like they said, you know, earlier is better. It's definitely better to not leave it to the last minute. You know, that's true of anything. But I at least have my name in the hat, you know, and that way I'm doing my part. And I thought being there early would also be, you know, reflecting well on me, because I'm trying to do everything I can to get that spot. So anyway, they said, okay, send us an email, basically stating your case. So I did. And they said, okay, great. Now, I didn't do it right away. I put thought into it. It was, I guess I can't really say how many pages it is because it was an email, but I put in a fair amount of thought and effort into it, and I wanted to show my best. So anyway, they got back to me, and they said, okay, we want you to come here in person. And, for me, it's about a 2-hour drive during rush hour. So I was like, okay, I will show up because I will do what it takes. And when I was there, like, it was great because as soon as I walked in the door, like, I saw one of my classmates and it's like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? And everyone's so happy to see everyone. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of fun. Like, it's not awkward for me seeing my classmates that went on without me. Because, it had nothing to do with me, the fact that I didn't move on. Or, sorry, let me phrase that again. They had nothing to do with the reason why I didn't move on. Because my class, they were all super supportive. And I thought it was, it's just good to see people. Like, I like them as human beings. So I think that, yeah, there's no hard feelings there. Like, I could chat with any of them. Like, I just saw them yesterday. Like, really good to see everyone. So anyway, I had my interview, and I thought I was just meeting with the program director, and it turned out to be a panel, which I did not know about. However, the people on the panel were other instructors that I was very familiar with, so I wasn't. I was caught off guard, but I wasn't thrown off by it in a sense. Like it didn't make me like question everything. So I had another interview, and so another time where they're like, okay, so we noticed this, we noticed that. And, it was, kind of if you have any ego, these are the kind of meetings where it's going to crush your spirit. Because, well, I won't say crush your spirit, but I would say like kind of crush your ego. Because I felt like they brought up every little thing, which, the things that they brought up, they're not wrong, There are, I was not a perfect student by any means, but, and I tried, but there's things they brought up where I was like, yeah, like maybe one time I said something stupid. Okay. And I was just straightforward with it. I was like, hey, I said something stupid. I apologize right away. And, like never going to happen again. So I didn't say anything mean. It's just, I gave misinformation that I quickly corrected. Anyway, yeah, so it's just interesting the things that they brought up because to me, yes, we want to do everything the right way, but some of the things seem rather trivial. But when you look at it from their perspective, I try to do that. They're probably looking into every single little thing because they're trying to decide between two students who, it's kind of, I would say it's comparing apples and oranges because we didn't move on to semester 4 for different reasons. So you're trying to pick out of these two people, how do you decide which one it is? And so you need to go through every single thing to find out if who they would like to move on. So, I mean, I left that meeting feeling like, like just so deflated and just not feeling great about myself. And they said, okay, so this was, I think it was probably early December. And they said, oh, it's probably going to be about 3 weeks. They wanted to let me know before January, but they said probably give it about 2 weeks and then we'll have an answer for you. So I was like, okay, I just got to be patient, whatever. I'm not worried about it. I've done my part. So, no more reasons to worry about it, even though I was probably thinking about it the entire time. And they actually got back to me a few days later, so they didn't even wait the whole 2 weeks or whatever it was. And they said I did not get that spot. And so something I want to bring up from my interview though is they said, if you do not get this spot, are you still going to reapply? And I said, yes. Obviously, that's the right answer. Um, but, like in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm going to say yes because I mean, I'm going to get it, like you kind of get fool yourself a little bit. Like, how could they not want me? But I didn't get the spot. And you know what? I was like, okay, so if I have to wait again, like how many more months is that? And so probably, I don't know, 4 or 5. I probably have to wait like another 4 or 5, 6 months. I can't remember the exact math on that one. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, that's fine then, whatever. I guess I'll just wait. But of course, like human nature kicks in, and I had a lot of emotions again because, like I wanted to get my career on. And so I thought through the scenario about which ways it could go, from here on out after finding out I didn't get it. And I was like, okay, so what I could do, there is a hygiene school that's closer. I should apply there. I should just forget about it, forget about this school. And I was like at the point where I'm like, I think I'd almost be willing to start from the beginning of the program if I can just get into that hygiene school. But then when I looked into the requirements, their program's set up differently, so the prerequisites are different. And I don't know. I was just like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But I thought maybe I should at least talk to someone on the staff at the other school and see, is it even possible? Because maybe it's not, and then I have my answer. But, I think they didn't start school until like September. So I was like, well, I've got time and I kind of want to think about things. But then, of course, there's the other part of me that's like, do you know what? I don't even want hygiene. I think I'm just going to, go into something else. But, to get to this level, I think no matter what program you go into, it's going to be tough. I'm going to basically have the same struggles I had before, but it's going to be in a different field. So, psychology. Well, then I'm just going to have things that are related to psychology that will make my life difficult as opposed to dental hygiene school. And that's just a random example, but I think you get the spirit of what I'm trying to say. So, anyway, I just kind of went through all those emotions but then it's kind of getting around to the point where I'm like, it's almost time to reapply again. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to give this my best shot and we'll see what happens. So I kind of consulted with one of the doctors I work with, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be writing this letter. Do you think you could look it over? I think the first day that I worked on the letter, I probably spent like 3 or 4 hours straight on it. And I just kind of like wrote everything out, and then I had to go back and edit. And, you know, I, I don't know, I just wanted to put a lot of thought into what I was saying. And not to say I didn't do that before, but, I have a different approach. I think that the second meeting, because they asked me so many specific questions, I had a better idea of where they're coming from. And so they had some concerns about, this or that. And so I was able to specifically address that and not be put on the spot and give a well thought out answer. And then I was also able to make some of my own observations and kind of how I'm working through all that to become a better student. So I worked on that. One of the doctors I had actually gave me a letter of recommendation, which, I'm sure the dental hygiene program says, oh, these have no impact on your ability to get in the program or anything like that. But I feel like at least having some good words about you does make a difference on some level. That's my thoughts about that. But anyway, I did all this. I put everything together. And I was also emailing with the school saying, like, I wanted to let you know that I'm interested still. So, let me know the next step in the process. And so I'm like, you know what? If they want me to go down for another meeting, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I want to get in the program. I gotta give it all I've got. And of course, I'm thinking about the different aspects of this scenario, and I'm like, well, there's other classes. Like, what if someone doesn't pass their class? Are they going to get the spot before I do? Like you just kind of think about all these things. So I did all this work and I put it in, and then I had to sit and wait, and I wait and I wait. And I finally got an email back from the program, or it wasn't the program director, but someone from the school. They said, "We have approved your re-enrollment." Yeah, they approved it. Part two of that sentence: there aren't any spots available right now. And I was like, so really, this doesn't change anything at all. So anyway, I was like, I guess I sit and wait. Like because I think I'd have to wait another few months before I could even like have another opportunity. But the good news is I'm in the program. So I mean, like, I feel like that's a sign. Like, this is a good thing. I've done everything I can do. So, and unfortunately, I was like, oh, well, now I got to tell my employer, well, here's the situation. I was approved, but there's no spots. So that could change at any time. I may not, I was hoping to give my employer, like, okay, in a month, I'm going to go to part time. Like, I've got this all figured out. Everything, I'm going to work, 2 to 3 days a week. I've got this all figured out. I'm a good employee. I'm going to do the right thing. And of course, now I'm like, okay, so now I don't know. I don't know if I still don't know if I'm getting in. So I was keeping an eye on the calendar. I knew what the end of the semester was. And so the day after the last day of the semester, I was like, okay, today's the day. I would think if they want me back in the program, if there's a spot available, they'd want me to know ASAP so that way I can prepare for it. So I was waiting, and it was probably like 11 in the morning, and I'm at work, and like all I can think about is, am I going to get in the program? Like, are they going to email me? What is going on? And finally, I was like, I can't take it anymore. So I sent an email to the school and I said, hi, just checking in, like trying not to sound anxious or desperate, but just saying, did any spots become available at the semester end? And then I sent off the email and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they're not responding, and finally I get an email back, and I say finally, but it wasn't really that long, but when you're anxiously awaiting, it just seems like forever. So I got an email back from them and they said, yes, there's a spot available. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like it's really happening. So I had to like tell my coworkers and be like, there was a spot where like we're all available. We weren't with patients. And so I was like, hey everyone, just wanted to let you know, I got back into dental hygiene school. And it was just kind of funny because the one doctor I was working with, she's like, no, they're like, no, you don't need to go back to dental hygiene school. You can stay here. Of course, my counter to that is, well, you could pay me a hygienist salary, double my income right there. But anyway, yeah. And then one of my coworkers says that she was mad at me, and I was like, I'm okay with it. It's all in good fun though. They're just, they're going to miss me and I'm going to miss them. And, if I wasn't in dental hygiene school, I think I would probably be at the office long term because, I really enjoy being there. Anyway, so yeah, I'm back in dental hygiene school. Like, for real. It's been an entire year. And, all I have to say about this is if you don't pass a semester, don't pass a class, whatever, it's not the end of your journey. And I think I've said this before, but, you know, keep going. It's not over. You still got this. If your heart's in it, then you can do this. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to be starting the semester soon here. So I think by the time this comes out, I will have already been in school maybe 2 weeks, something like that. So I am going to be starting more episodes. So I know that one of my followers, Justin, he was like, Does that mean there's going to be more episodes? Yep. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep up with it. I was looking back on the semester 3 episodes. I didn't really do hardly any at all. So I'm going to try doing a better job at keeping up with episodes. I just know semester 3 was like intense for me the first time around. So, but yeah, let me talk about what this is going to look like going forward. So, with being part of, let me get my words out here. With going back to hygiene school, there are certain things that information builds on each other, and it's helpful for the following semesters. So even though I passed all the classes and I'm really just there for the clinical requirements, they do want me to review pharmacology and periodontology. So I know pharmacology plays a lot into local anesthetic, which would be semester 4 for me. And so that part, if you haven't studied it in a while, it's going to be a lot of information to try to bring up in your brain. So they just want me to review it. They're saying that I'm auditing the class, so it's not for a grade, which, I mean, it kind of takes the pressure off, but at the same time, I still want to learn the material, so I am taking it very seriously. And also perio, yeah, that's important too, because, I mean, it plays right into clinic. Also, both those classes are very heavy on the board exams, which, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we're working towards, is getting those board exams done. We want to pass them the first time, obviously, but let's give it our best shot. So part of those, so I have a re-enrollment agreement. Part of that is that it is required that I review those classes. And, at first I was kind of like, oh, like more time I have to be in school. But thinking about it, it's actually going to be really good for me. I'm looking forward to, becoming stronger in those subjects again. I know Perio actually really enjoyed that class, just because of, first of all, like how relevant it is to my day-to-day as a dental hygienist. But also, I mean, it was just super fascinating. A lot of the information was brand new. So, of course, I enjoyed it. My perio class is actually going to be taught by a different instructor. So, for me, that's also interesting because I get to hear it from another point of view. And then the pharmacology is going to be done by the same instructor. And so she kind of knows where I'm at with what I learned before and kind of where I need to focus on. So I'm actually going to be working probably 1 day a week at my dental office and potentially 3 days a week at school. Not what I was hoping for. It's going to require extra driving. But I think, it is what it is. I'm going to do what it takes to graduate. And probably looking back on it, I'm probably going to be glad that I did it, because those are really tough subjects. And if you're taking them right now, like for me, pharmacology, looking back on it when I was learning it, was just like if I looked up in the airspace above me and there's like pieces of floating information just randomly placed all over the place. That's what it seemed like to me. But now going back and looking at everything, because I have that foundation of information, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot more sense now. So, I'm not hating the fact that I have to do those classes. Of course, I'm going to work on other skills too. Like, I'm realizing I need to work on my instrumentation, so I want to do like a crash course and remember how to do all that stuff. I say it like I haven't done it before. I'm not using the right terminology is what I mean. But I'm really looking forward to being back in school. I think it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing all the instructors, and I will see a few of my former classmates. So, let's get started. I have to go find patients for clinic. So, I gotta go. Anyway, I guess I'll see y'all pretty soon. Not see you, but I'll hear you. You'll hear me. I gotta go. I think I'm really tired. Anyway, that is all for this week, and I will sign off now. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I appreciate your support on this journey, and until next time, I am Dax Scott.